Hey there, it's Blue here with another evening slow flow. This evening I'm going to be helping you leave the day behind and clear the mind with some release in the hips, groin and lower back. So let's not waste any time. Okay, first things first, make sure you've got a block or a blanket or any other support you feel like you might need. And then we'll make our way into a reclining position. So making your way down onto your back, finding a nice neutral place for the feet here. Let the knees knock in if you like. And just creating that space for yourself, that non-judgmental place of observation. A place where you can just take a moment from sort of concerning yourself with anything that's happened in the past or anything that might happen in the future. A place to let yourself rest and a place to let yourself relax. So imagine a bubble around the mat. Let yourself sort of sit protected in this bubble. And it takes quite a bit of mind power to move through our day, and to even an easy day takes quite a bit of, it's quite strenuous on the mind. So often when we come to the end of the day, there's still tasks that feel unresolved, or we might be projecting into the future and creating tasks for ourselves that haven't actually come up yet, or things that don't exist yet. And this is handy sometimes to be able to project ahead and solve problems in advance. But at the end of the day, when we're sort of nearing towards that restful state, we don't want to be giving ourselves too much to do. And it can become a never-ending paradox of sort of unfinished tasks if we get used to sitting in our future and thinking ahead constantly, trying to predict. Then we can spend all of our time in the future. We can actually spend our whole life never in this moment. And that's going to make it difficult for the body to rest. It's going to make it difficult for the mind to slow down. So giving yourself that permission just to be here in this moment, to let go of those tasks, to let yourself fall into a state that's deserving of rest. And we're going to be working into the parts of the body that sort of seem to accumulate a lot of tension during our day, in the lower body, the hips and the groin and the lower back. By releasing those muscles, it's also going to trigger the body, or it's going to signal the body, the nervous system, that we're safe and that we don't need to hold on to that tension anymore, and going to allow us to have a much deeper rest. And then in turn we'll be able to actually attack those tasks in the new day with much more clarity and precision. And that's why we want to do some relaxation, some movement before bed. So let's get into it. Let's first things first start by taking a few belly breaths here. Letting the body swell. Not the ribs so much, the ribs will swell a little bit, but mostly the belly here. The soft part of your abdomen. And then exhale. Let the exhale sort of just guide itself. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Take a moment, then exhale. You can even breathe out through the mouth if you like. Sometimes that creates a really nice sort of cleansing sensation. Let's do a couple of those. Breathe through the mouth on the exhale, sorry. Open up, gently press the air past the lips. One more of those. Deep breath in. Exhale. Then we're going to bring one knee in, followed by the other, just reducing any strain on the lower back or recruiting too many muscles. And we're going to draw the ribs in towards the thighs in towards the ribs. Soften the shoulders and give yourself a gentle massage out over the spine here. Now you can continue to breathe into the belly here. There'll be a slight restriction because of the proximity of our upper thighs there. But that's fine. Let a little bit of pressure accumulate as you breathe into the belly. It's going to create this really nice beneficial pressure in the abdominal cavity. Start to relax the organs, start to massage out the organs. And we're just rocking from side to side, and you can play around with the positioning of your hips here as well. So maybe let the knees fall away from the body a little bit. See what that feels like. I like to draw it in, sort of create a little bit of tension on the muscles running along the spine there. And then I want you to roll up onto sort of one side. Imagine if your back was divided into two sections with your spine running down the middle. Let's roll up onto one section. And then just rock from side to side, sort of within that section there, just massaging those muscles out. And it's quite nice to even sort of squeeze the knees in a little bit and release as you rock. Just play with the movement. Get creative with it. And then we'll rock to the side. So we're just giving ourselves a little end of the day massage here. Once again, playing around with the positioning, remembering to not sort of replicate what I do, but to use it as a guide. And then we'll come back into a neutral position, let the knees fall out to the side, and just take some gentle rotations in opposite directions with the knees here. It'll probably feel quite nice after drawing the knees in towards the belly for so long. And coming back in the opposite direction here. Give yourself a couple of breaths. Try not to be too ecstatic with the breath or even too coordinated with it. Just sort of allow it to happen. Knowing it's there, but not sort of controlling it too much. And then we're going to lower the soles of the feet down here. Let the ankles touch, then let the soles of the feet, or let the knees roll out, let the soles of the feet come together into our Buddha Konasana here. And first things first, I just want you to rock from side to side a little bit. Make sure the spine is sort of ready for this movement. There can be a little bit of tension in your Buddha Konasana, so you could always rest something under your tailbone, a rolled up towel if you like. And then we're just going to take this nice little movement where we bring the knees up and lower them down, and that's it. There's really nothing to it. Bringing them back up. Ankles touch and then lowering down. I like to keep the big toes touching here. The soles of the feet will separate away from each other slightly, and that's fine. Coming back up. You can squeeze in a little bit if you like, but let's not get too active. And we'll do a couple of those. Very nice. And then finally lowering the knees down for the last movement. We're going to hold for a couple of breaths. You can place the soles of the feet together here if you like. And then we're just going to do a few little pelvic tilts. But you can even make these pelvic tilts really small. So often in a morning practice or when we're building energy at the start of a flow, we might be really lifting into the chest and sort of breathing up into the upper body. Here we don't really want to activate too much, so we're just actually even just so you're feeling the pressure change in your lower back is plenty. So there's this tiny little rotation in the ball and socket joint in your hips there. Stay with it. Give yourself a few breaths here once again. It's a really good practice to not be completely in control of things, but just to be aware, and especially in the evenings. If we can remind ourselves to let go, it can be really beneficial. And that goes for the body as well, that goes for these movements we're doing. And then we might leave it at that, bring the knees back up in towards the body. And I'm going to take my trusty yoga blanket with me, and I'm going to come up into a seated position here. And I'm going to just sit myself, I'm going to roll the blanket up. So it's kind of like, it's rolled up pretty well. It's a nice firm little roll there. And I'm just going to sit my tailbone up on the blanket and let myself roll down. This is going to tilt the pelvis forward without me having to activate too much. It sort of just lets me cascade down into the posture. The next thing I'm going to do is bring my right foot up towards the left knee. Now that might be plenty. However, I do encourage you to bring the right foot to the outside of the left knee if that is available for your posture, for your body. Then what we're going to do is just gently, that's just bringing the knee to the outside, just gives the right hip a little bit more length. It just creates a little bit more of an opening here. As always, working to your ability. And then I'm just going to guide myself into a twist here. Now we don't want to be just directly sitting up, or we can be sitting on a block as well if you like. But what we're looking for is this sort of forward rotation in the pelvis. We're sort of spilling down off the towel here. And then I'm just gently guiding myself in. And I can feel this lovely sort of opening all the way out over the glutes here and the piriformis and even the hamstring a little bit. And a really nice opening in the chest as well. We're not worried too much about the twist and twisting the upper spine or twisting the spine at all. We're more looking to reduce tension in the lower body. So really play around with that opening in the hip here. You can even put a little bit of extra pressure through the elbow. Just creating that space in the muscles and these big prime mover muscles that spend all day holding us up and stabilizing us and taking on all that tension. And then we will release and have a go on the other side. As I always say, be mindful of the asymmetries of your body. Maybe this leg doesn't need to come to the outside of the right knee. Maybe it does, maybe it's got more availability. And I'm not using any effort here to sort of bring the ribs and slide them up the thigh and all of that sort of active stuff that we might do in a more active session. I'm actually just allowing myself to fall in, and that's why this towel is really helpful. You'll feel this nice pressure as you breathe the belly into the left thigh there. Inhale and exhale. One more of those, inhaling and exhaling. Now, staying in the same position, I'm just going to walk my feet out a little bit wider than the mat here. And you can let the feet spill out to the side even, and I'm just going to walk my hands forward. Now, what's happening here is this mat that I'm sitting up on, this rolled up towel, is just allowing my hips to roll away or roll forwards. Otherwise I could end up sort of pulling myself in or creating tension. That's not what I want. And I'm just letting the knees really, or the toes really fall out to the side here. And you're going to feel this really nice opening through the groin here. And shift yourself around and make it work for you. Give yourself a couple of breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. Observing the breath. And sometimes it's nice to rock around in the pose a little bit, or shift yourself around. Let the back of the neck soften. A few more moments. The further you reach out, the further sort of leverage or weight you'll create that will sort of just draw you down into your posture. And then we're going to come back up and make our way straight up onto hands and knees here. So we'll pop that somewhere nearby. And we're going to bring the knees in really nice and close and do this lovely little hip opening movement. Rocking from side to side. And find your version of this pose here. So finding any sticky points and just melting those away, just putting a little bit of pressure into those points and just allowing them to melt away. And same as we did when we were massaging out the spine, even just sit in those points of resistance, if there are any, and just sort of scrub them out. We can come around. And then we'll come back up to a neutral position with the knees underneath the hips. And from here, what I'm going to do, actually I'll come a little bit further up the mat. I'm going to bring the toes together and separate the knees out wide and sink down over the knees here. Now play around with this. It might be really easy for some, a little bit trickier for others. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up and reach forwards here. And your feet don't have to be super close together. You can have them out a little bit wider. In fact, it might be easier with them a little bit wider. And this is really good because it's opening up over the feet as well. And the feet take a lot of strain. The feet take on a lot of pressure. Then what we're going to do is bring the knees back down, walk the hands forward, loop the shoulders back and press the chest forward like we would for a cat-cow. And then bringing the weight back over the heels, lift the knees, separate the knees, and reach out in front. Inhale, come forward. Chest forward. And exhale, walking the hands back, separating the knees, and letting yourself just melt into the groin there. Let's do 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. There's something about the sort of extroverted quality of this movement that's just so relaxing. It's just so perfect for the end of the day. Tuck the toes, walk the hands back, and bring yourself back down, or bring yourself into the full variation of your posture, whatever that might look like. Make it work for you. How many have we done? We'll do 2 more. And exhale. This is kind of like the grand finale of our little mini session. Come forward. Walk the hands forward. Inhale. Exhale. Come up onto the heels. Last one. Let's give it a couple of breaths. You could walk the hands over to one side if you like, and give yourself an opening in the side body. Make it work for you. If the feet need to be a little bit wider, that's cool. You might start to put a little bit of pressure on the knees if you bring them out too wide. Inhale. Let's give it a long exhale from here. And I'm just going to walk the hands back towards the body now and come up into a standing position. My knees are quite bent and my feet are coming out to at least to the width of the mat. I'm going to come forward a little bit. And then I'm bending the knees a lot, and I'm just going to bring my hands to elbows and let myself dangle. Now, no effort is happening here. There's a little bit of strength in the legs to keep us upright, but apart from that, nothing to do here. We're just folding forward. If you like, you can sway the hips forward and back, sort of play with letting the balance run from heel to ball to toe. Or you can rock yourself from side to side. Observing the breath. And let's release now. Let the back of the neck lengthen. I like to rest the back of the hands on the mat here. Take one more deep breath in. Long exhale. I'm going to slide the hands forward, bend the knees, come down. Make my way straight back into a reclining position. And bringing the chest forward, lifting, lowering down. Finally, walking the feet back towards the body, and we're going to take Buddha Konasana. Shift yourself around a little bit, shift the hips around. Rest the hands. I like to rest the hands on sort of the pelvis, or you can even rest the hands on the inner thighs there, which will create a little bit of weight, which is going to help us, or it's going to help guide the knees out to the side. Try to find length in the back of the neck and let yourself settle in here. Let everything slow down. Notice if your mind is thinking ahead. Are you wondering what's next? Are you wondering what's going to happen tomorrow? Doesn't matter if we sit here predicting things. How much does it actually matter? How much does it increase productivity at all? To go over variations of the same scenario again and again. Let that wait until tomorrow. and just give yourself a moment of stillness. We'll come into our full Savasana now. We'll bring the knees up and then extend the legs away from the body. You can give yourself a little bit of a wobble out here if you like. And now we can find the full expression of our resting pose. And visualize the hips, the groin, the glutes, the lower back, the legs, the knees, the feet. Allow it all to soften. Visualize it all softening and falling away. Give that part of your body permission to rest. Your body's done its job for the day. Let's start to repair. Let's start to rejuvenate and regenerate. And take a deep breath in. Open the mouth and give yourself a long exhale. Press the air past the lips. Move the body around a little bit. Reach the hands up overhead maybe. Maybe walk the feet back towards the body. We'll make our way up into a seated position. With hands at heart center. Sealing our practice as always with gratitude for ourselves, our bodies, our ability to change and learn and grow and adapt. For the food we eat, the water we drink and the air we breathe. Take a deep breath in. Namaste.